Hello, in this video I'll answer your questions that you asked me in comments. But before going to this video, I wanna ask you to support this channel by leaving a like and subscribing, and you can also send me a donation by the links in the description, and it will help me a lot.
On the background I will use drone footages from military builders. Before 2022, was Mariupol residents pro or anti-Russian? Well, most of the citizens were neutral and didn't care about politics, and maybe they liked Russia more than Ukraine. And people who actively supported Russia were silenced. And of course here were some Ukrainian patriots, but I don't think here were more than 5% of them, and now almost all of them left to Europe or to Ukraine. Will you ever go to the front? This doesn't seem necessary now, because there is no mobilization in Russia, and Russia has an initiative now. We are attacking, and we took Avdiivka recently. But if my cities, Donetsk and Mariupol, and my homeland will be in danger, I'm ready for it. What is the situation regarding internet and telecom in the city? Everything is just as before war. Internet is everywhere. Maybe the only difference is troubles with internet is a little bit often, maybe once in a few weeks, but everything is alright. Am I going to make videos in other cities of the DPR? Well, yes. I'm planning to make a Novorossiya tour this summer when I will have more time, since now I have study. I'm planning to visit Melitopol and Berdyansk, and I also want to visit Severodonetsk and Lugansk, and maybe also Volnovakha and Donetsk. I will announce it a few weeks before, and most likely I will need your help with this, because tickets to the cities near frontline are expensive. And if you are curious about the state of these cities, they are being restored, less intensive than Mariupol, but they aren't abandoned. And in the internet I've seen photos and images of new buildings in Severodonetsk and Volnovakha, and new infrastructure in Melitopol. You can find it in Russian YouTube. But on the other hand, now, for example, in Severodonetsk there are much more ruins than in Mariupol, because rebuilding efforts are less than here. I will try to make a fair report and record everything in Severodonetsk and other cities. Do you feel safe in Mariupol as of right now? Well, now Mariupol is one of the safest places in Novorossiya, so yes, I feel safe. Explosions are rare, maybe once a month or even more rare. And how is the situation with electricity, internet and stuff like this? I already said about internet, and this electricity situation is more or less normal. All of people have electricity connected, but in some places people have no electricity a few days or sometimes even a week because of some troubles with energy network. But it's way better than a year ago, so I'm optimistic, and I think a year later everything will be alright. Did work start to clean out the Azovstal steel plant and convert it into the promised large tourist park? No, works on Azovstal didn't begin yet, and when it will, maybe I will record it. Do you remember the events of Russian Spring, or did any of your relatives participate in them? Well, no, I was too young. I lived in Donetsk at that time, and I only remember a referendum in May, 11th of May, where all of my family and families of my friends voted to separate from Ukraine. And I also have many friends who has friends or relatives in DPR or LPR militia. Question about Azov and where they came from. As I know, these bastards are from all parts of Ukraine, not only Western, and there are even some Mariupol citizens there, and I have friends who know guys from Azov, and I talked about their crimes in my other videos, so I don't want to repeat myself, and I don't want to talk about it now. They destroyed Mariupol, and that's all. What is my view and other views on Western media and culture? Western media is trash just because they are too biased and they are hiding the truth, which I can see every day. And about culture, if you're about new trends like transgenders in every movie and game, I obviously don't like it. But speaking about Western culture that older than 10 or 20 years, it strongly influenced Russia, and I consider Russia a country with Western culture. And in my opinion, it's good. But most of Russians think otherwise. They think that we are very different from the West. Question about food supply and prices and income of people. Both prices and salaries in Mariupol are much higher than in other Russian regions. And it's very easy to find a job with a good salary in Mariupol, just because of how many construction works are in progress now. And of course, for other specialities like a programmer, it's much harder to find the work. Still, with Mariupol salaries, you can afford living in Mariupol. Are Ukrainians in Mariupol now, or only Russians? How the life looks like now between two nations in the region after frontline? Well, it's always hard for me to answer such questions, since I don't know who are Ukrainians and who are Russians. I don't even know about me, who I am. If you're asking about Ukrainian language speakers, there have never been any of them in Mariupol. And if you're asking about people with Ukrainian surnames, then no one cares which surname do you have. Especially since in Russian cities nearby, like Rostov, everyone have Ukrainian surnames and yes. So for me, these questions makes no sense. There is no difference between Russians and Ukrainians. My thoughts about Vladimir Putin, current Russian government, corruption, and about the future of Russia. Well, firstly, about Putin, I support him because now he seems like he's the only one who wants to keep Donbas as part of Russia, because only alternative to him is Western opposition and they are pro-Ukrainian, so no choice. I don't really like Putin, I am not his fan, but I respect him and he's a strong leader in my opinion. And opposition is too bad, so Putin is the only good option for Donbas, for Novorossiya. And about corruption, Russia is corrupted, but less than Ukraine. And I really hope it will be solved in the future, because now government tries to fight the corruption. And about government that I want, I know that people with different political views are watching me, but I like the ideas of socialism and left ideas. Do you think Mariupol will look better with the Russian reconstruction? Of course. I will do a video where I am comparing pre-war places and how they are looking now. And I already have a lot of videos about this. Russia is doing more than Ukraine did in 30 years. Will you vote for presidential election? Maybe. I know that Putin will win anyway because majority supports him and no alternative candidates in his place. So maybe I will and maybe not. It isn't really changing anything. What is the situation regarding factories in the city? Have the Azovstal factory been rebuilt? And what jobs are the factory workers of Mariupol currently doing? Now there are 2 working factories in Mariupol, as I know. Azovstal and also some parts of Ilyicha steel plant. But most of Ilyicha steel plant is still unfunctional and it will be repaired in the future. And Azovstal is still ruined and the works there didn't begin yet. And most of factory workers are just busy at construction works and everything like this. How many people live in the city now compared to before the war, and are people returning? I talked about it in my video about past, present and future of Mariupol. Before war here lived 400,000 and now 200,000 of people. And people still returning, but most of people who wanted to return are already here, so now it's much slower than a year ago. What type of business is good in Mariupol this time? It's hard for me to talk about this time because Mariupol has everything now, but if talking about the future, when this war will end, I think touristic direction will be really popular in Mariupol and maybe hotels or some entertainings or something like this. Question about interview with Putin. Honestly, I didn't watch it, but I know that it's big history lesson and it's mostly for Western people and for foreigners because all of Russian people know these things. What percent of the city is still damaged and what percent is repaired? It's really hard to answer such questions because I have no way to count it, but it seems like maybe 70 or 60% are repaired or in progress, and the rest is still damaged, destroyed. I hope this video was interesting for you, and if it was, you can share it in your media. Have a nice day!